It's time for Around the Ozarks in 5, brought to you by the Butterfly Palace. Have the best day ever at the Butterfly Palace. Springfield Greene County Park Board, reminding you to go play. Roto-Rooter Plumbing and Drain Service. Call Southwest Missouri's best plumber today for a free estimate. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Foreheads.
Howdy, howdy. It's just Ethan today. Sarah, my better half, is in Africa, Tanzania, where she's been for 1 week now. She's on her second week, along with our 10-year-old boy, and then she'll be back. So I spent Valentine's Day alone. Now, I had my two girls and our two girls, and we had a good time, but looking forward to Sarah being home. I got to speak with her on the phone yesterday, and she did get the text I sent her of a picture of some flowers. So she was pretty thrilled with that. So I think I'm good. Until she gets back. And then we'll probably have dinner or something. So that's what's happening there. I'm solo tonight. Diana will probably be back tomorrow morning. But at any rate, let's get a little news going. And it's tragic news to start the newscast, the broadcast this morning. It was a time of celebration that really turned into a time of mayhem and chaos and tragedy in Kansas City yesterday. At least one person killed in a shooting at the Chiefs rally at Union Station following the parade yesterday, the Chiefs Victory Parade. It happened just west of Union Station near the garage as fans were leaving. At least 22 other people were injured, 5 of them seriously, and many of the victims were children who were shot, who were being treated at a children's hospital. We now know the person who was killed was Lisa Lopez, a radio personality in Kansas City, so a person that the public was very familiar with, and just incredibly sad. The radio station posted on their social media that she was just a wonderful person, and this is such a senseless tragedy. At least 3 people were arrested in the shootings. Witnesses described them as young, which is interesting. And you may have seen video. I saw a video of this, fans tackling at least one of the shooters. So kudos to them. They're heroes. They may have stopped the deaths of more people. Who knows? But fans were able to tackle at least one of the shooters, and police were able to arrest that person. It was a big crowd yesterday. 1 million people were expected to turn out and celebrate the Chiefs' back-to-back Super Bowl championships. But this certainly mars that event. It mars the Super Bowl championship in the short term anyway. It's just a tragedy. And there are some others who were victimized who are in rough shape right now. So they could use your prayers for sure. And all of Kansas City. Excuse me. Back here closer to our neck of the woods, the Springfield School Board is considering new rules that would allow drug testing for students. One option the board is considering would give the district authority to drug test a student if an administrator has reasonable suspicion that the student is under the influence. The second option also includes random drug testing of high school students who participate in extracurricular activities. Right now, the district does not require students to undergo random testing for drugs or alcohol. So we'll see what the school board ends up deciding there and what the district recommends for the school board to take under consideration. Meanwhile, lawmakers in Jefferson City are looking at possible new regulations on cannabinoids, which come from the hemp plant. Those are currently not covered by the state's laws on marijuana, and as a result, can be sold in convenience stores to people of any age. There are no current age restrictions on cannabinoids. That could change because the legislature is looking at it right now. The day we told you about this yesterday, the day after Springfield passed a new law making some video gaming devices illegal, some of the establishments that offer those devices are now closed down. This week, the city council voted to ban video terminals that offer cash prizes. That went into effect immediately, and Springfield police, therefore, began to immediately patrol the places that they know of that offered those video gaming devices to make sure they weren't operating or write tickets if they were operating still. Violators can be fined and sent to jail, depending on how many times the violations occur. This is cool. Congratulations to two great Springfield businesses. They made the 2024 Forbes list of America's best large employers. Very cool. O'Reilly Auto Parts came in at number 459, and Forvis, which you may know as BKD, used to be called BKD, that landed at number 561 on the Forbes list of America's best large employers. So good for them. That's fantastic. The Community Foundation of the Ozarks was curious about the giving preferences of the younger generations of Southwest Missouri, so it commissioned a study. It looked at donors 40 and younger, asked them some questions, and here's what they found. The results are out now. They show that those donors are less religious and less conservative than their parents. They are also less trusting of established charities. They prefer to give directly to individuals or families via something like GoFundMe, even if a portion of their money is taken out by that platform. They also find website donation pages too difficult or time-consuming to use. So that's good information for me and for somebody who works at an organization that is a nonprofit. The key is to make it as easy as possible using Venmo or things like that don't take a lot of clicks, don't require people to travel to another page and get out a credit card. So that's good information. Thanks to the Community Foundation of the Ozarks for doing that study for everybody in the area, because it affects all of us. Internet upgrades are coming to Clever and to Republic. Cable America is putting in more than 30 miles of fiber and more than 20 miles of coaxial cable to speed up service. That adds up to $3.3 million worth of high-speed internet upgrades on the way this year. And speaking of upgrades are also coming to Hammond Student Center on the campus of Missouri State University, built back in 1976. Some storage areas in the west gym of the facility are being converted into a locker room for a new weight room. So those changes are taking place. Work should be completed by this fall. And this weekend, pet owners in the Ozarks can get good deals on vaccines and microchips for dogs and cats. The Humane Society of Southwest Missouri is hosting the event from 10 to 2 on Saturday. Microchips will go for $20, vaccines for $12. Walk-ins only, and it'll be first come, first served. I think only the first 80 people in line, or first 80 animals in line. So heads up there if you're interested in getting a good deal on that. Microchips are a good way to go for your pets. And now to this. The bump scene around the world continues to be talked about. You know what I'm talking about. Travis Kelce bumping his coach Andy Reid during the Super Bowl. Very heated exchange. One way, Kelce to Reid. Travis and his brother Jason talked about it on their podcast this week. Travis said that some people were angry at him for that because they saw it on TV. They saw the still image and it doesn't look great. But he says he gets it, and he knows that he can't get that fired up to the point where he gets physical with his coach. But that he loves Coach Reid, even to the point where when Coach Reid leaves, Kelce leaves, is kind of what he implied there. But he said that he immediately knew that he went a little too far with it, shouldn't have done it. I don't know if that's the case or if he immediately knew when he started to hear reaction from it and people didn't like it. He also admitted that his emotions can get away from him, adding that that's been the battle of his career. So you got a history with this sort of thing. Here's what I think about it. I don't have strong feelings about it either way, because here's what I do know. That people, I mean, that type of intensity is an intensity that most of us will never experience. That's not part of our jobs on a regular basis. There can be intensity, and it can get intense at times. Television was like that. I mean, I remember there are times we're yelling at people on the set during commercial breaks in the newsroom because it has to happen. You don't have time to pussyfoot around and be ask if I may have this, please. You need it now. And that's nowhere near what this is. So I know that when you're playing at that sort of a level, there's such an intensity that's involved with it that those types of things can happen. And then immediately after it, because it's the high and then it's the letdown, and then everybody's fine. I mean, there are typically no hard feelings after that because it's the heat of the moment. What's said in the heat of the moment is determined by the need. And Kelce, as he saw it, the need was for him to get back in the game and score some points so the Chiefs could win the Super Bowl. Now, I didn't like the bump. I thought that was a little bit much. He even admitted that it was a little bit much. And that could have gone way wrong. If he knocks him off a little bit more, the coach is gonna fall over. That's not a good situation. So I think the bump was a mistake. I don't think the bump was necessarily intentional. But I didn't have an issue with the passion, the intensity of the get me in the game. I got to get in the game because he needed to get in the game. And they needed to get him the ball. So it's such a different level. People at the top of their game. You don't always have to be a jerk, but sometimes that's what gets hurt. The jerkiness of the moment. We can't argue about this. Do it. So anyway, that's how I see it for what it's worth, which ain't much. All right. Well, that'll do it for the podcast. We got 11 and a half minutes, me talking by myself. God bless you for sticking with me. I don't know that I would have. I'll be honest with you. But I appreciate it. I just want to say this. Sarah and I really appreciate you watching the podcast, you listening to the podcast. We hear from so many of you that do, and Midwest Family Radio, who puts it on, hears from so many of you that do. So we're very, very grateful. We appreciate our sponsors so much. You can see the names of our sponsors scrolling at the bottom. They allow us to do this. So whenever you see their names scroll across, make sure you take advantage of the services they have to offer. They're all great organizations and companies. So we're proud to have them on board. Okay, I've done enough talking for Thursday morning. Thank you again for watching. I'll see if I can get out of this thing swiftly without looking like I'm confused, because Sarah usually runs the board here for me on the podcast. But she'll be back, I think, a week from today, or tomorrow will be her first podcast back. So she's having a great time in Tanzania. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.
It's time for Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather, sponsored by Scooters Coffee and Rescue Towing. Here's your host, meteorologist Abby Dyer.
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, February 15th, and I am watching a cold front that is pushing through the Ozarks right now. Temperatures are mild this morning. As of 5 a.m., we're in the mid-40s, and we'll warm to the upper 50s in most places today. So still a mild day on deck, despite the fact that we're going to be behind a cold front. The cold air kind of lagging behind the front a little bit. So we will see a slight cool down and some cloud cover this morning. No precip coming out of this front today. I do have rain and snowfall in the forecast as we head into Friday. This week, a very weird one. We started the week with winter weather. Then, of course, Valentine's Day, 60s, sunshine, spring fever. And then we're going to bookend the week with another chance for rain and snow. So wild in the Ozarks, which is not too unusual for February, I suppose. A big story today is that a cold front is pushing through. Moisture is limited. So I think this is going to pass as a dry cold front. I don't expect anybody to get any rainfall out of this today. Temperatures are warm to start, though, and highs will make it to the mid-50s this afternoon. I think we will see the sunshine take over through the course of the day, too. Behind that front, we see mostly sunny skies, and then the cold air continues to spill into the Ozarks. And on Friday, it's actually going to be one of those days where we see our high temperature happen in the morning and then cooler air filter in by the course of the afternoon. Also tomorrow, what I'm tracking is this rain-snow mixture that could make an impact in the Ozarks. This time, I don't think impacts are going to be widespread. I'm not expecting big travel impacts. However, if you're in our northern counties or if you're traveling in the Ozarks or around the state on Friday, you'll want to pay attention to this forecast, because I think what we see is rain changing over to snowfall as colder air plunges into the Ozarks. This is primarily going to be up along the I-70 corridor in central Missouri. However, there will likely be places along and north of Highway 54 that do see a bit of accumulation out of this. I think even places along and north of Highway 60 could see some snowfall. Very few impacts from this, and I doubt we'll see it even stick along the Highway 60 corridor. Highway 54 corridor and points northward up along I-70, a couple inches of snow look possible, whereas those amounts really fall off as you move south. The St. Louis area could see some of this accumulation and snowfall too. So anybody, as I said, with travel planned, heads up for Friday. That's what's on deck. Another kind of wintry day in the Ozarks, but I think we'll see a lot of melting, and we can thank the 60-degree temperatures from yesterday for a lot of the melting on the roadways. I don't expect big bad impacts there. Cold and windy then is going to set up for the weekend. I don't have much warmth in the weekend forecast. Even today will be cooler, and it's going to be breezy. I have kind of breezy conditions setting up for us on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday too. Temperatures on Friday, as I mentioned, they're going to fall through the day. So we actually hit our high temperatures on Friday in the mid-morning hours, and then we land in the low 40s as we head through the afternoon. We'll drop into the 30s. On Saturday, high temperature will be lucky to make it to 40 degrees. That's kind of the coldest day in the weekend forecast. And then we start to recover a bit by Sunday with mid-50s back in the forecast. But I do have sunshine in full force, both Saturday and Sunday. So at least that will be nice for the weekend forecast. Around the country, the weather's pretty active too. Some quick moving systems heading our direction. Heavy snowfall happening across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes through portions of New England. That happens tonight into early Friday morning. The Central Plains and the Ohio River Valley seeing this quick round of snowfall that I mentioned. That could impact us here in the Ozarks as we move into Friday. And then showers and thunderstorms are also in the forecast across parts of the Mid-South. So a lot of activity all across the country. If you're traveling, just keep that in mind and maybe check your flight before you head out, especially if you're going up north, because that's where some of the winter weather will be. All right, it's time for that Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather Brain Twister question for the day. This is what I left you with yesterday. How many heart candies come in a single box of sweethearts? You know which one I'm talking about. The classic Valentine, the hearts that say, be mine, or too cute, or kiss me, or something like that. Well, they're a darling, but they don't taste that good. And there are a lot in a box. The options that I gave you were 12, 24, 36, or 48. There are 36 of those things in a single box. I think I vaguely remember making a Valentine's box in elementary school and gluing these little hearts on everything. They're probably better for gluing than eating, in my opinion. The candy corn of Valentine's Day don't actually taste good, but they're never going to go anywhere because they're just iconic. But there's 36 in a single box. Now you know. If you like them, that's a lot in one single box. All right, here's a question that I'll leave you with for tomorrow. About how long does it take Pluto to orbit the sun in Earth time? Do you think it's 75 years, 120 years, 170 years, or 250 years? Take your guess. You can do that at aroundtheozarks.com. While you're there, check out the forecast. We've got you covered up to the minute all day long with all your weather information. Thank you so much for listening this morning, and thank you to our sponsors, Scooters Coffee and Rescue Towing. I will chat with you again early tomorrow.